You and I are in a multi-decade, multi-generation transition from an industry-centered society to a culturally centered society. And this transition, this time of change, is going to take our entire lives, and it's going to ask a lot of us. I'm going through my own journey of this right now, where I'm beginning to hold point for cultural offerings and cultural emergence, but also needing to hold myself within an industry-centered society. I need to be looked after. And I think a lot of leaders, facilitators, those who are quite devoted actually to bringing through the new earth, this next chapter in the human story, a world that is richer, riper, and more human. I think a lot of us are navigating this move from industry to culture. And sometimes I think we're quite black and white beings. We want to move from money exchange to whatever comes next overnight. And realistically, your lifetime and my lifetime, the rest of our lives, we're still going to have the themes of both a monetary system and an industry-centered society at the core of the world around us. And so the emergence of culture, the emergence of rituals, and the return of ripe, rich humanity, it's actually going to have to come through an industry-centered society. It's still going to have to come through industry. An example of this is what I'm up to next year. I'm bringing through what I call ritual councils that go for 2 days and 2 nights, where the fire keeps burning and the council doesn't stop at all. When someone gets tired, they sleep. When someone needs to go to the toilet, they go for the toilet, but always the circle continues, and always the spiral continues into a kind of liminal leadership exchange down into the mystery exchanges that can only happen at 2 a.m. in the morning on the second night. Hope you hear me there. And so I'm actually bringing through something that is ancient, and it's real, and it's taking us to places that we haven't gone for a very long time, and inviting us to meet in ways that we haven't met for a very long time, if ever, maybe. We're kind of definitely touching new edges of it all. And it is tender for me to ask for those that come to council to also be in exchange, to offer exchange, to pay me money to hold this thing. But for us as leaders to exist in a industry paradigm, which still is the central theme of the society that we're existing in, we still need monetary exchange woven into these gatherings, woven into these comings togethers, and woven into these frontier meetings, into these ceremonies of transformation. It's a tender thing, and it's, for some people, it's sacrilege, but it's also necessary for it to actually happen, because we don't live in the same ecosystems that we once did. I would love to. I personally would love to be in ecosystems that are reciprocal, and there's themes of reciprocity and energy exchange naturally moving around, and everyone being nurtured and looked after. But it's just not the nature of this moment in time. It's literally not the nature of this moment in time in the Western world, at least. It's not just as black and white as coming together and doing it free. For us to have a kind of quality, it asks a quality of meeting and a depth of exchange. And for transformation, a genuine kind of transformation to occur, it does ask for particular beings to be present. And the same way that the thatcher gets honoured for fixing the roof, and the same way the plumber gets honoured for, working with the toilets, and the same way the gardener gets honoured for maintaining the gardens, so do the facilitators and the callers of ceremony, the holders of ceremony, the sacred transformationalists get to be honored as well. And so we need to really look after our facilitators, and we need to really look after those calling ceremony, and this idea of there not being financial exchange for these offerings in the context of the Western world in these times is ridiculous. There does need to be exchange, and it's okay. And we get to really look after those who are putting in their time and their energy and their effort and their mastery, because this is their craft. And we get to honor their craft the same way that all other crafts are honored on earth in these times. And we get to make sure they are looked after, that they get to pay their bills, that, and more than that, they get to thrive and be abundant in life. We want that for our facilitators and for those calling the emergent ceremonies and the emergent rituals and these circles of genuine cultural emergence. We want them to be looked after, because if they're not, then these circles don't happen, or they don't happen to the quality that they could. And when there's not a quality involved in these things, sometimes it adds another 2, 3, 4 decades onto the unfolding, genuinely. So for us to powerfully meet this moment and continue moving along this songline towards genuine cultural emergence, let's make sure that we look after those calling the circles and holding the ceremonies, and those visionaries who are seeding things that haven't been before. It's quite a courageous thing to call something that hasn't been done before or done in thousands of years. So let's make sure they're looked after along the way. And that's the parenting. That's how the tribe are leaders for the leader or the caller or the holder. You know, you're not just learning from a facilitator when you go sit with them, as an example. You're also parenting them. You're also, by being there, you're also dreaming them into existence, and you're holding them with your contribution. Whenever you go to them, you're actually looking after them as much as they're looking after you. So it's a two-way exchange that is really important for both parties. And even though something like these councils that I'm calling aren't places where you learn from a facilitator, but rather you sit in equality and you sit in your seat of power beside each other without any one being kind of the dominating force or the dominant force in the space, it's still really important that the time, energy, effort, mastery that's gone into setting that up and holding it, the courage and time that's gone into doing that is deeply honored. I am directly experiencing the tensions and challenges and wild evolutionary shake that comes with holding point for something that is genuine cultural emergence while also existing in an industry-centered society. And if you're someone who's going to journey with me in the seasons ahead, I hope that you can feel me in that we have to meet this well, and we have to meet it where we're at, rather than, you know, a couple of decades down the track where perhaps the monetary system has evolved a little bit, the exchange systems have matured a little bit, because we're not there, we're here. And let's make sure that all of us get looked after in the process. And if we can look after those holding these circles, holding these gatherings, holding these deep meetings, then they'll continue.